we do have a quorum.
Okay.
Okay, the meeting is being recorded.
All right, so let's call the meeting to order. Right now we have Mark, Harold. I'm not going to swipe, so I'm guessing that. Who else did I see here?
Donnie?
Donnie's there, and that's it for right now. So that isn't for a quorum or no?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. So that's good. So we have a quorum. We're waiting on hopefully Larry and Keith. Any adjustments to the minutes? We're just going to go down as we're going here.
No adjustments.
Do we have the minutes from last meeting?
They're not done yet.
Okay. Do we have a meeting minutes from last? Okay. All right, fine. So we'll skip over that. Public to speak. I'm assuming there's nobody here.
I don't see anyone.
There's no one.
Mark does have his hand up.
Go
I
ahead,
didn't
Mark.
mean to. It just stayed up.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So correspondence to be read into the record. Do you have some new emails?
I do have a couple of emails. Let me let me see if I can pull them up on the screen. That'll be easier than reading them into the record verbatim. Hang on a second. Okay, can you see that all right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is an exchange, Mr. Chairman, between Tim Lesage, who was with us at your last meeting, and Ralph. He works for FAA New England branch. Tim had summarized the well, we're working backwards, but Tim, in the top, it's Ralph saying he supports the changes that were emphasized in the email. Looking ahead, any expansion of payments will require evidence of current need, even if they were supported by a master plan. He believes the guide system will provide invaluable in understanding current, of course, I can't read that, current needs and recent trends. They should be especially helpful in understanding patterns of peak itinerant operations, which may be key determinant of the need for any expansion of aprons. Below that, you see what Tim had written to Ralph after the last meeting, basically summarized his visit with us. I don't know if you'd like me to read that or not. Anybody that's watching this video will be able to read the text there.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, for me, it's really hard to read this thing, and we have time to kill, so
yeah, be happy
wouldn't
to.
mind.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Let me minimize this. There we go. Okay, so this is from Tim Lesage to Ralph. We are also available on Friday at 10. That was last Friday, and I did meet with Ralph. Tim was off that day. The governor shut the state offices down. To give you more information, I've already met with Joe and the airport commission regarding this last Monday. We discussed the most recent airport layout plan submitted to FAA, and he gives the project number, and its predecessor, which is a full-blown airport master plan. There are numerous similarities in many items that have not been constructed. As of that meeting, the sponsor, which is us, suspended the review of the AMP RFQ, that's airport master plan, that we had solicited, pretty much meaning we understood everything which is written below, which he had explained, but not so eloquently or technically, according to Tim. Joe will be reaching out to Jean in regards, and I did speak with her on the phone about this, in regards to changing the 22 grant from the originally planned AMP to one in which we recouped the remainder of the $750,000 that was discussed during CIP meetings. So Irv and Tim and I were in the CIP meetings last fall. Maine DOT has graciously given the town a grant of just over $610,000, allowing us to continue with necessary projects at the airport. He and I have also discussed the potential of creating a new CIP over the next month or so with the Airport Commission. A CIP that addresses the pavement rehab recon of the oldest tie down area and a portion of the apron, then addresses phase 2 of the apron expansion, started with the phase 1 AIP and 17, and then the projects from the ALP sets mentioned above. Additional T hangars, at least the taxi lanes for those, and an additional taxi lane for future corporate hangars and potential terminal building on the other end of the hangar area. The RFQ that the town put out in 2020 contained the AMPU, that's the Airport Master Plan Update, phase 2 of the apron, and a pavement maintenance project. Stantec was awarded the GCA from this RFQ, so technically they could easily do the phase 2 without going out to RFQ again. However, personally, this is Tim speaking, he'd rather see the current pavements fixed before we start adding more. Considering that apron rehab and apron construction are very similar in nature, both need design, both need construction, both are pavement-based projects, I wouldn't see it as much of a stretch to add at least an apron rehab recon in the projects that Stantec could do under the current GCA. The same may be possible with adding taxi lanes, but regardless, the addition of these projects are up to the FAA as to what we're allowed to do. Add into a list of projects allowed under the old RFQ. We certainly have time to put out a new RFQ listing all the new projects from a new CIP review. So that was bringing Ralph up to speed. Sean is Ralph's partner. They work together in the FAA. This is where we set up the meeting.
Yes, Mark, you have a question?
I do.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, on the. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm having a swiping problem like you. Okay, on Tim Lacey's letter on the 3rd paragraph, this question for you, Joe. The RFQ that they put out in 2020 contained the Airport Master Plan update. Is that a true statement? Because I thought the reason we went out for these RFQs is because it didn't contain the Airport Master Plan update.
I think you're right.
If it contained the Airport Master Plan update, Stantec would already be authorized to do it.
That is correct. The master plan update was not part of that
Okay,
RFQ.
okay, just wanted to correct that.
Yep.
Thank you.
So then we get down to the email from Ralph to me, and he's copied other folks, as you can see. So I've got to minimize this so I can read it. And Ralph is saying, I am aware that you have been working diligently to prepare a fiscal year 22 grant application to conduct the master plan study. This is normally a reasonable tactic when the prior master plan is dated and does not account for major changes in the airfield, the needs of users, and/or changes in federal policies and design standards. Since I have not been involved in many of the conversations regarding the need for this project, I would like to speak with you and the MDOT to explore the question of the value of this study at this point in time. While the study is an eligible project for the use of your entitlement funds, I need to provide a determination that the costs are justified not only by the required effort to conduct it, but also what benefits it might produce. I'm available this Friday at 10, that was last Friday, and we did meet. Here is the factual framework that provides the basis for my concern about its ability to produce, or provide, I should say, sufficient value added for guiding the maintenance and future development of Stephen A. Bean Municipal Airport. Number one, currently there are only 5 based aircraft in our registry. 5A, this places the airport at risk of being downgraded to an uncategorized asset status with loss of entitlement funding. Our office has supported a waiver to maintain its status as a basic asset airport, but there is no guarantee this waiver will persist indefinitely. 5B, it is difficult to envision how even a tripling of the current based aircraft fleet could not be accommodated with existing facilities or straightforward pen and ink revisions to the airport layout plan. Number 2, the current newly extended runway and reconstructed taxiways greatly exceed the needs of regular use and therefore simply require a program of maintenance and periodic rehabilitation that does not require additional planning of their layout. Number three, the combination of low activity and expanded facilities will create a strain on your operating budget. Diversion of funds from essential capital projects for maintenance and operating requirements need to be prudently evaluated. Number four, you have recently completed an airspace survey and there are no critical issues with the required airport clearing surfaces that require substantial analysis. Number five, the pandemic has created disruptions in the prior trends in aviation activity. Climate change and future energy policies may also alter user needs and patterns of activity. It may take a few years before there is sufficient understanding of how small airports are impacted by these market adjustments. He sincerely respects the much greater understanding and familiarity you have with the airport and its users, and therefore appreciate an opportunity to understand our interest in this project. So when I, let me get you back on the screen. When I met with Ralph via Zoom on Friday, I basically let him know that I agree with his analysis of this, and the reason that I had done the work on the master plan is because it was in the CIP prior to, I think it was last year. It was supposed to be done last year according to CIP. So it was really a mechanical approach to this. You know, it was something that we didn't get to because of COVID. And I said, well, let's put it back out. That's where we left off. So in evaluating my needs, I think he's, pretty much correct. We need to do maintenance and rehabilitation where needed. So I tend to agree with them that we don't, based on that, we don't need a master plan at this update at this point.
Okay. And so where do we go from here?
Mark
Hold
has
on
his
a
hand
minute.
up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to the Airport Commission recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they halt moving forward with the 2022 Airport Master Plan update. Notify the submitters of the RFQ to that effect and accept the allocated funds as a project cost reimbursement to the 2019 runway extension project.
I'll second that just for discussion.
Okay, so discussion.
I want to hear the town manager's thoughts.
I agree with that. I think that that is a good course of action at this point. I would ask, Mr. Chair, if the other two remaining members do, when they show up, if the motion could be read again. You may consider waiting to vote until they show up, but that is certainly your prerogative. But as far as the motion goes, I'll have to have Mark read it back to me anyway, so I can write the whole thing down. But the intent, I agree with. I think, suspending the process indefinitely, and then agreeing to accept the money from the FAA in lieu of, or instead of, the Airport Master Plan update funds would essentially make us whole for the runway extension project, minus a sum of somewhere around $20,000, but I'll get into that down the road. Some of that was ineligible. So yes, I think it's a good idea.
Go ahead, Mark.
Would you like me to read it slowly so that Joe and the rest of you could write it down?
Please.
Okay, my motion is that the Airport Commission recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they halt moving forward with the 2022 Airport Master Plan update, that the submitters of the RFQ be notified to that effect. And that they accept the allocated funds as a project cost reimbursement to the 2019 runway extension project.
And Joe, can I ask again to be clear, how much of the funds that are allocated for that?
135,238. That's rounded up.
Okay.
It's 135, 237 and change, but when I put it into the intent form, it automatically rounds it up. And that's what I have in front of me. So it's 135, 238.
Mark, can you read that first paragraph again, please?
Yes. The motion is that the Airport Commission recommend to the BOS, Board of Selectmen, that they halt moving forward with the 2022 AMPU, Airport Master Plan Update. Notify submitters of the RFQ to that effect, and accept the allocated funds as a project cost reimbursement to the 2019 runway extension project.
Okay. I'm clear now, thank you.
So what time is it now? It's almost 10 of 5.
Yeah, it's 448. He said it would be 445, maybe 450 by the time he got up to Larry's place. So he was on his way. And I don't see them in the waiting room yet, but I'll keep my eye open.
Okay. We just give them a couple more minutes.
I have a second motion to bring up.
And what is that, Mark?
I'll move that we pass on the other motion and listen to the new motion until we'll give them some time.
Okay, go ahead.
That way,
Mark.
Mark, you can bring up the other motion and we can hear it, consider it. We'll come back to the other one.
Go ahead, Mark.
Looks
Mark
like
frozen?
it looks
It's
like he
frozen?
froze up.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's frozen. The internet is just so powerful. Oh, you're gonna have to let him back in. He just signed out.
I hate COVID.
Well, I was gonna run next door and see if the town manager was next door in the other room. It's like my house, you have to reboot before you can come back in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh geez, I can't believe you're on this well, Jim, unless you're on your phone. And not on
Yeah,
internet.
I'm on my.
Are you on internet or are you on Wi-Fi or are you on cell phone?
I'm on Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi.
Our Wi-Fi is miserable. And I should get it ahead of you. Mine should be faster. Unless you're downhill from me.
Yeah. I am downhill.
Oh, I just see Mark's back.
Yeah, I see him.
He's just muted.
Can you hear
Okay,
us, Mark?
There we
did I
go.
miss anything?
Nope.
No, we waited for you.
We waited.
Thank you. I saw you froze and I was still moving, but I had mentioned that I had a second motion that I wouldn't mind discussing while you were waiting to see if those other folks showed up.
Okay, so we've tabled the first motion, so why don't you go ahead with your second motion, Mark?
Okay, the second motion has to do with our discussion with Tim Lesage about the 2012 airport layout plan and the 2017 upgrades to the airport layout plan and the 2017 upgrades to the 2012 master plan as well, which really the airport commission doesn't believe they reviewed in their entirety, and they've been forwarded to the FAA, but the FAA hasn't approved them yet. And I think in rearranging this stuff to do the most beneficial projects to the airport, this is what my motion would be to help accomplish that. And that would be a motion that the Board of Selectmen ask the FAA to halt their approval of the 2017 master plan updates until the town of Rangeley has completed further review. And what this would do is if they haven't approved it yet, it's been since 2017 since they had them. And while they're not approved right now, it may be a lot easier to have flexibility to put in the most beneficial project, but we don't really know what's in there right now. So that if the selectmen ask them to halt till Joe can get us the old and the new of the airport master plan and the airport layout plan, I think we'd be able to be more beneficial to the airport. We could see what Joe thinks of that. Oh, nobody seconded it, so would someone second it for discussion?
I'll second it for discussion.
Yeah, sure.
That's easy.
Okay. Joe, what do you think?
I'm okay with that. I'm willing to call and see if, without it having to go all the way through those channels, I can call and see if we can get it suspended. But if you want the board to do that, I'm okay with that too. If you recommend to me that I call and ask that they put a pause on it, if that's possible, I'm willing to do that.
That would be acceptable to me. I just
My concern with it is,
wanted to initiate something.
I'll be honest, my concern is that with everything that's on the board's agenda, I always want to be careful that I could explain to them why that recommendation came to them tonight. It may be
Okay.
something that they don't have the background on tonight, but if you recommend it, I'll do it. But if you recommend me just reaching out to FAA and saying, hey, can we pause on that? And if they say, well, no, it's got to be the highest authority, then I can come back to it in a couple of weeks.
Okay, then I'd
I
like
like
to
that.
withdraw. I'd like to withdraw my motion and make a motion that we ask Joe to contact the FAA and see if he can put a pause on the 2017 master plan approval updates, master plan update approvals.
I'll second that.
I think we can just go ahead and vote.
Oh,
I don't see them in here. It's 5-0.
I just
Yeah.
like
Oh, there's
Keith.
Keith.
I just like Keith in.
There he is.
Okay, so why don't we vote on the motion that Mark just brought up? We can just do that now.
Yep.
Before Keith and Larry get, we can get them up to speed on the other one. So all in favor of Mark's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
For the town manager, yep.
Yeah. Is Donnie raising his hand?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, aye.
All right. So that's unanimous in favor of Mark's second motion.
Where's
All
the
right,
snow, Larry? Not here.
Oh, there they are.
Hi, Larry.
Hey, Jim.
Hi, Keith. Hi, guys. Good.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, that's okay. Glad to
Looks
have
better
you.
there than it does here.
doctor's appointment, so quick priority.
Yeah. So right now, we've tabled a motion. Mark had a motion. I don't know what, you want to read it again, Joe? The motion that's on the table?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So Member Beauregard made a motion for the Airport Commission to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they halt moving forward with the 2022 Airport Master Plan update, comma, that the submitters of the RFQ be notified to that effect, comma, and that they being the Board of Selectmen, accept the allocated funds as a project cost reimbursement to the 2019 runway extension project. And that was seconded by Member Schetzel.
And just to give a little background, Joe, do you want to explain that a little bit to Keith and Larry? What we're
Absolutely.
talking about? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So last Monday, I discussed with the Airport Commission, Tim Lesage was there. Maine DOT, sure you're all aware now that Maine DOT, through Tim Lesage's help, he was a shepherd on our part, or a steward, got us an advocate. He got us $610,000. The department got $610,000 in reimbursement for the town. Now, I'm still working on sending that invoice and getting that triggered in Augusta, but it's committed in the work plan. So there's, of the 746 deficit or shortfall, 610 has been provided to us by Maine DOT. So that's part A. Part two is the Airport Master Plan, totally unrelated, but the Airport Master Plan process was initiated by me. I looked at the CIP from before I took over, and in 2021, there was supposed to be a master plan update. It was written right in there, and I said, oh, we didn't get to it because of COVID. Let's go ahead and get back on track. Went through those steps, as you know, and everybody knew that we were going through the master planning process. We released the RFQs. You've reviewed those. The commission put the brakes on that at the last meeting because Tim was present and said there are some concerns at the FAA. They're wondering, do we even need to do a master plan? So to that effect, you know, I've spoken with Ralph at FAA. We've got the emails that we've shared. It looks like at this point, on the heels of this big project and the count, you know, the based aircraft count and so forth, that, you know, we really don't need to do a full-blown master plan update at this point to the tune of $150,000. So the recommendation that I made to the commission was, don't do it. Let's not do it. They agreed, or seem to agree with that. So that's essentially how we got to where we're at. So instead of doing a master plan update this year to the tune of $150,000, we don't have to do that. When I heard that, when I processed that, I said, well, can we get our money back? And it got some traction. FAA essentially said, you know, put in the intent form. The reason I've come to you tonight, now remember, all this happened last week for me, and that was the time I had to process it. The deadline for the intent form at the FAA at the federal level is February 15th. So the reason I've asked you to meet tonight, and thank you for doing that, is that I want to go to the selectmen in an hour and make sure that they're okay with this, because they were set to review the RFQs also. So they're going to wonder why we're not doing that. So I want to be able to explain it to them and then have them echo your this motion should you pass it.
Okay, Larry and Keith, does that make sense? And do you have some discussion about it?
Well, the only question, I don't know, can you hear me, Jim?
Yes.
The only question that I would have, what happens to the future planning and projects at the airport without a master plan?
That's a very good question. So what we can do right now in the short term is what's referred to as pen and ink projects. So we don't stop doing projects. We can start talking about in the next month or so as a group, you know, the commission and myself, and I'll invite Tim in. In fact, I already did invite Tim in at the end of the month to start talking about the CIP. What projects are most important to you that you can work on now with the budget that we have that doesn't require a master plan update? And I think we could probably do that for a couple of years based on the annual data and the projects that you come up with. I think when we get to bigger ticket items is when that's going to trigger the master plan update. I did ask, version of that question of Ralph on Friday. I said, so what triggers this? You know, what's the magnitude? And that was how he answered. It wasn't a real technical number. He said, when you get on the precipice of wanting to do a major upgrade again, that's really when you're going to want to think about a master plan update. But I don't see that we have something like that in the next 2 or 3 years.
No, the next
Major-
project. The next
Major being like a runway extension like that.
Oh, no,
something
not
to that
something
extent.
like the apron parking area is sad.
He also mentioned that it's a good idea to talk about rehab and maintenance now over the next couple of years. Program that into the CIP.
Well, I guess as long as you get that in writing, Joe, so that we have evidence that a master plan is not necessary for us to continue with affordable projects.
Yeah, I believe the email that that I read earlier pretty much covers that. I'm comfortable with it.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, I was just wondering if Larry understood that the money that was gonna go to the master plan is now gonna go to the town to pay off the remainder of that 746,000 shortfall that didn't get reimbursed through the change orders. So we'll be 100% whole there, Larry.
I kind of figured that out in that discussion. It
Okay.
didn't really say it, but the numbers made sense.
Okay, I just wanted to
Okay, thanks.
help with the clarity.
Keith, do you have any comments?
No,
Okay, because just for
I have a-
clarity.
Go ahead. I did have a
Harold,
question.
Go ahead.
So what does that do for routine maintenance, like crack sealing of the runway and things like that? Taxiways and runways.
So that will have to be one of the things we're going to work on this year. I think is this year or next year is a pavement management plan. We're required to do that by FAA. So that will be reviewed under that, and it shouldn't have any effect on our ability to do that. We should still be able to do that as a pen and ink or a regular CIP allocation or projection. You'll put it in your CIP to do crack sealing and so forth.
That doesn't affect AIP money. No master plan does not affect AIP money.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
It's a good question, but I don't believe so.
Any other questions? Just for clarity, Joe, could you read the motion one more time and then we'll have a vote?
Absolutely. Motion by member Beauregard was that the airport commission recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they halt moving forward with the 2022 airport master plan update, comma, that the submitters of the RFQs be notified to that effect, and that the Board of Selectmen accept the allocated funds as a project cost reimbursement to the 2019 runway extension project. And that was seconded by member Schetzel.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye,
Aye.
I believe that's everyone unanimous.
was.
Okay, so all in favor, so that passes. Which just brings us to the end of meeting, right? Announcements or next meeting.
Next meeting will be on the 28th, I think, at 4:30. It's the last Monday of the month.
Okay,
Thank you all for that. But Joe, can you verify that AIP money? Because that's a big deal, could be a big
Sure.
deal.
and you're gonna talk to them about that on the phone, Joe?
The AIP,
Yeah, what was the second motion that Joe, Mark had made, and you were gonna make a call?
oh, yes. To Larry's point, yes, I will verify that the AIP won't be affected by the delayed airport master plan. I'm pretty confident it won't be, but I will double check for you. And then the motion, Mr. Vice Chair, was that the Airport Commission asked me to reach out to FAA to put a pause on the formal acceptance of the 2017 FAA airport layout plan.
Is it the layout plan?
I think it was the master plan, the updates to the master plan, which would have included updates to the layout plan. I think the layout plan is part of the master plan. But we never reviewed them as a commission to know just what's in those two documents.
Right.
And by pausing it so we can get a chance to review it, we can make sure we have all the good stuff, the most beneficial stuff to the airport in there moving forward.
Does that make sense, Joe?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so if there's nothing else,
I'll make a motion to adjourn,
Second.
5:07.
thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for being patient.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
yeah.
guys, and hope everything's going as well as it can be expected down in Florida. We're thinking of you.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Please.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to meet with us. Appreciate it.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.